When you think of underappreciated Pokemon types, what do you think of? Maybe ice or fighting? But in my opinion, the most underappreciated type is ground. I mean, look at all the really cool Pokemon that are ground type. So to give them the spotlight for once, I've decided to play a hardcore Nuzlocke through Pokemon Platinum using only ground type Pokemon. The ground type isn't bad, but it doesn't stand out very much, with an overall average base stat total of 436. However, the Pokemon that we can use definitely make up for that by being some of the strongest in the type. If you know anything about Platinum, you might be thinking, you can just get a Garchomp, the run will be a sweep with that. Well, I've decided I can catch a Gible, but I'm only going to evolve it into a Gabite. Garchomp is off limits. And if you're still thinking that'll be too easy, just wait. Since this is a hardcore Nuzlocke, that means I have to use the standard Nuzlocke rules with a few more added. The full rule set will be in the description if you're interested, but to put it simply, if a Pokemon faints, it's counted as dead and must be permanently boxed. I can only catch the first ground type on each route. This includes Pokemon that evolve into ground types, and I must nickname every Pokemon. To make it even more difficult, the hardcore Nuzlocke rules are: I can't overlevel past the next gym leader until the battle with them starts. No items are allowed in battle, but held items are fair game. And finally, for added difficulty, the game must be put on set mode. I'd say ground types are powerful, but I think this might be a difficult challenge. So the only starter Pokemon we can get that evolves into a ground type is Turtwig. So we pick him, take out our rival's Chimchar without taking any damage, and make our way to the Professor. He asks us if we want to nickname our Pokemon, and I panic and just give him the nickname Woody. Creative, I know. We deliver a parcel to Barry and have another fight with him, where we mainly just set up withdraws, as both of his Pokemon are super effective against us. In the end, we take both Starly and Chimchar down with minimal damage done to us, allowing us to move on to Auburg City. Before taking on the gym, I catch a Geodude and an Onix that I forgot to record. Anyway, I leveled them both up and Bo Peep and Slinky joined the team. Like you'd expect, the rock gym is quite easy with a grass type. We withdraw once and absorb the Geodude, the Onix, and Razorleaf the Cranidos, taking them all out in one hit and earning the Coal Badge. Commander Mars is usually what's known as a run killer, so we're gonna need to be careful. Well, we would if we didn't have two physically defensive rock types. Geodude one-shot Zubat with a rock throw, and we switch to Onix as Purugly comes out. Onix uses two Screeches and rock throws, almost taking it down, proccing its Oran Berry. We can't survive another hit, so I swap Geodude back in to take her out in one more rock throw. While making our way to the next city, Turtwig evolves into Grottle, adding even more power than we already had to our team. So to get to Eterna City, we have to travel through the forest, and this is where we meet Cheryl. But because I didn't want to do double battles, I spoke to one of the psychic trainers and forgot that he has an Abra with hidden power fighting, taking Geodude out for the first death of the run. Not wanting to spend any more time in the forest with Cheryl, we make it to the end and take on the second gym. Since Grottle now has Curse, all we have to do to win is set up a few and use Return. So we ended up just doing that. 3 curses and 2 returns take her Turtwig out as a Reflect wears off and we level up to 23. Roserade is next, and 1 return takes her down. Finally, out is her Cherub, but after another weak Grass Knot, 1 return knocks it out, getting us the Forest Badge with no trouble. If you thought Commander Mars was easy, Jupiter was just thoughtless. After using Curse, and another one after that, we just used 1 return to take Zubat out. Skuntank was kind of scary because a crit Night Slash would have taken Grottle down, but I rolled those dice and luckily we defeated Jupiter with no problem. Before making our way to the next gym, we get given an egg, so we drop everything to cycle up and down to hatch this bad boy. I have absolutely no clue what's in here, but I hope it's a ground type that we can use. After a few minutes of biking around, it hatches into Togepi. Anyway, I name it Subscribe, because if you've enjoyed the video so far and want to see more, subscribing is the best way to stay notified on all my other uploads. After the cycling road, we get 2 more encounters, Gligar and Gible. We catch Gligar easily, but Gible is a bit more challenging, taking Slinky down to only 5 health as we finally catch it, adding Jessie and Bullseye to the team. We end up in Hearthome where we take on the gym, but before that we teach Gible Earthquake and evolve him into his final form, Gabite. This was by far the most difficult gym we've done. She leads with Duskull, and of course we start with Grottle. We use 2 curses as she burns him. She uses Shadow Sneak for a bit of damage, but 2 bites take Duskull out. Second was her ace, Miss Magus. Grottle would definitely go down this turn, so we swap into Onyx to take a hit. Unfortunately, Shadow Ball brings Onyx down to 10 health, so we have to switch again. Since Onyx is 4 times weak to grass, she uses Magical Leaf, but we send out Gligar to take the hit. We get confused by Confuse Ray, but hit Feint Attack, doing about half of her health. Gligar is hit with a Shadow Ball and taken down to 25 health, as we use a second Feint Attack, taking Miss Magus down. Finally is her Haunter, but we have to swap to Gabite as nothing else can survive another hit. Haunter almost takes Bullseye down with 3 Shadow Claws, but we land 2 Dragon Rages, winning the fight with 0 deaths and earning the Relic badge. Before we can get some more encounters, we have to fight Barry again. And can I just say, these fights are so easy. I'm positive they'll stay that way for the whole run. Foreshadowing. After Barry, we get the Good Rod from a fisherman, meaning we can backtrack all the way to Eterna City and catch a Barboach. I name him Buzz, and this is one of the Pokemon I've really been looking forward to using because I've never used him before. Moving on, we make it to Veilstone City, but head right through to get some more encounters. We catch a Hippopotas in the Manic Tunnel, a Rhyhorn on Route 214, and an East Side Shellos on Route 213. I could have gotten a West Side Shellos earlier, but it's really ugly. We also evolve Gligar into Gliscor, Barboach into Whiscash, and Shellos into Gastrodon. Extremely happy with the power up in the team, I take on Maylene. She starts out with Meditite, but it gets one-shot by Earthquake. Second is her Lucario, but another Earthquake takes it down. Finally is Machoke, and 2 Earthquakes allow us to beat Maylene as we earn the Cobble badge. We head to the next gym in Pastoria City, but before we enter, Hippopotas evolves into Hippowdon. Believe it or not, the water gym went surprisingly well after we taught Gliscor, Thunderfang, and Swords Dance. The Gyarados was one-shot with Thunderfang after a Swords Dance, as he stupidly sends out Floatzel instead of Quagsire. We tank an Ice Fang and retaliate with another Thunderfang, and finally is his Quagsire, who we take out with 1 Razor Leaf. We do some boring plot progression, like chasing a galactic grunt and giving an old lady a charm. But then, my sweet prince, the love of my life, Gastrodon, was murdered by a Murkrow. I obviously stopped playing after that, but when I returned, I was in for a world of even more pain. His Staraptor and Floatzel go down no trouble, but his Roserade sets up toxic spikes, poisoning anything I send out. We then proceed to lose Whiscash, Gliscor, Hippowdon, and Gabite, all because Infernape outsped us and we were too low from poison damage. You might think that attempt 1 is over, but you'd be wrong. I take out Infernape with Torterra and add Onyx, Rhyhorn, and a Wooper to the team. I don't know if you'd class this as cheating, but I head to Iron Island and evolve Onyx into Steelix using a metal coat I found there. The 6th gym is easy because they're all weak to ground types, so I spam Earthquake and Synthesis with Torterra. We have to beat Galactic Commander Saturn to get to the next gym, but before fighting him, Rhyhorn evolves into Rhydon and then Rhyperior. After Saturn, we catch the last member of our team, a Swinub that we name after the worst character in Toy Story, Ham. You're probably sick of hearing this, but we evolve Swinub into Piloswine and then into Mamoswine for the final evolution of the video. I promise. With that evolution, we can finally take on Candace. I should be worried, but Steelix has Curse and Iron Tail, so we do fine taking a whole team out in 1 hit each, earning the Icicle badge. Now it's time for the worst part of the game, the Distortion World. As much as I love Platinum, I can't stand the Distortion World. It's a waste of time in my opinion. I'll admit, the first time going through it is pretty cool, but after you've played through it 20 times, it gets really old. Rant aside, we fight Cyrus for the last time. And the only thing of note here is we take revenge on his stupid Honchkrow for killing Gastrodon. We take out his team and tell Giratina to stay in his room whilst I go get my last gym badge. As you can probably expect, an electric gym is no problem for a team of ground types, with all of Volkner's Pokemon going down in 1 hit. We're almost at the Elite Four and I just have to get through Victory Road. It proves to be no problem and we approach our last challenge before the league. Barry. We're here to show him who's boss after he almost wiped out our entire team in one final battle. He starts with Staraptor and 2 Ice Shards take him out. Second is Floatzel, so we swap to Rex and 2 Earthquakes bring him down. Next is his stupid Roserade, so we bring out Torterra. He puts us to sleep with Grass Whistle and takes us down to 19 health before we wake up and use Synthesis to heal Torterra. We heal once more and use Curse twice so we can take it out with a Razor Leaf and Earthquake. His Heracross uses Close Combat a few times while we heal. This means his defences are lowered when we use Earthquake, taking him out in one hit. Now onto the biggest challenge, his Infernape. We get hit with 1 Flamethrower, bringing Torterra down to 5 HP. Luckily for us, 1 Earthquake takes Infernape out, and out comes his final Pokemon, Snorlax. 1 Hammer Arm from Rhyperior brings Snorlax into red health as he goes for rest, guaranteeing our victory when we use 2 more, beating Barry with 0 deaths. We head into the Elite Four and are greeted by the bug specialist Aaron. He starts with Yanmega, so we use Ice Shard with Mamoswine, almost taking it out. Aaron uses a full restore and 2 more Ice Shards take out Yanmega. Up next is Sizzle, but an Earthquake and Ice Shard is enough to knock it out. Third is Heracross, and after switching between teammates doing bits of damage, a Strength from Rhyperior is enough to bring it down. He sends out his ace Drapion, but knowing he'll go for an Ice Fang, I send out Quagsire and use Earthquake, bringing him down to berry range. He uses X-Scissor, taking Rex down to 1 HP, and the second Earthquake knocks it out. Vespiquen is his last Pokemon, and we obviously can't survive another hit, so we bring in Rhyperior to knock Vespiquen out with 1 Rock Slide. Bertha was by far the easiest. We just used Grass, Ice and Water moves and she went down. The same can be said for Flint. We use Earthquake and that's enough to take out his whole team. Unfortunately, Lucian is a different story. He starts with Mr. Mime and Rhyperior takes it out with 1 Earthquake. Next is his Bronzong, which is an absolute beast. 2 Rock Slides only take it to about 1/3 of its health, and finally a Hammer Arm knocks it out. Then is his ace Gallade. He goes for Leaf Blade as we swap into Torterra. 1 Earthquake takes Gallade to half health, as a Psycho Cut brings us to 54 health. After a few curses and synthesises, another Earthquake takes out Gallade. Fourth is Espeon, but because of how high our attack is, 1 Earthquake kills Espeon after 1 Signal Beam. Finally is Alakazam. We can't survive a Psychic, so after all of his hard work, Woody the Torterra goes down for our first death of the Elite Four. We bring in Mamoswine to take revenge on Lucian, and get hit with a Focus Blast, almost taking us out. But 1 Earthquake is enough to get us the win and move on to challenge Cynthia. It's finally time for the hardest battle we faced. The trainer who people would say is the strongest of all. The champion of the Sinnoh region, Cynthia. So before we start, I want to say that I planned this fight for hours. Look at the difference between the time of Lucian and Cynthia. But anyway, let's get on with this. So to start, she brings out Spiritomb and we go with our MVP, Mamoswine. We set up a light screen which halves the damage we'll take from special moves as it goes for Dark Pulse. We then swap out to Steelix and set up Stealth Rocks so we do a bit of damage every time she swaps into a new Pokemon. Mamoswine comes out and takes Spiritomb down with 2 Earthquakes after we set up another light screen. Second out is Lucario. Mamoswine is weak enough so she'll use Extreme Speed, so I swap out to Rhyperior to take the hit. Lucario uses an Aura Sphere and we tank a hit, and 1 Earthquake takes it out. Next up is Roserade, and we bring in Steelix to sponge some damage, but unfortunately 2 Energy Balls take Steelix out of commission. However, his sacrifice wasn't in vain. The Stealth Rocks we set up did just enough damage so that Mamoswine's Ice Shard could hit first and kill her Roserade, no fuss. She sends in Milotic, so we bring out our trusty Quagsire. She hits a Surf for a bit of damage, because we have the ability Damp and not Water Absorb, as we use a Yawn to get it to sleep in 2 turns. We swap to Rhyperior to sacrifice, as we need Quagsire and Mamoswine for her final 2 Pokemon. Rhyperior goes down and Mamoswine comes in, as Milotic falls asleep. We set up another light screen and go back into Quagsire. I use Hail. Yes, I know it's stupid, but I accidentally gave it to Quagsire instead of Mamoswine, as Milotic's still asleep. Earthquake hits for about half of its health as she wakes up and uses Mirror Coat, but since we used a physical attack, it did nothing. We get hit with a Surf, taking us down to 10 HP, as an Earthquake almost takes her out and we succumb to the hail. She uses a full restore and 2 Earthquakes from Mamoswine knock out her Milotic, meaning we could have put her to sleep and beaten her with Mamoswine this whole time. Second to last is her Togekiss, but even Stealth Rock damage and Ice Shard wasn't enough to take her out, as she uses Water Pulse, KOing our last Pokemon and losing the run. So I guess it isn't possible to beat a Pokemon Platinum Hardcore Nuzlocke using only ground type Pokemon. But I don't want this video to be a defeat, so I leveled everyone up to 65 and gave it a second go. This obviously won't count as a win, but I don't want to end the video on a bummer. Everything happens in the same order, but Mamoswine takes out Milotic without Quagsire or Rhyperior dying. She sends out Togekiss and we hit her with an Ice Shard. She uses Aura Sphere, but we survive with 32 health as another Ice Shard takes her out. Finally is her strongest Pokemon and the reason we have Mamoswine, Garchomp. We use Ice Shard and bring her down to what must be 10 health or less. She eats a berry, hits us with Dragon Rush and takes us out. We bring in Quagsire but get taken out before we can land a hit, which leaves it all down to Rhyperior. We're brought down to 28 HP from half health as one Earthquake is finally able to get us the victory. Was that one of the most intense Pokemon challenges I've done? Yes. Was it one of the most fun? Absolutely. So I've decided I'm going to do one video a hardcore type lock and the next a solo run challenge, just to give the videos a bit of variety. Speaking of solo runs, I'm honestly blown away with the support of the Ordino solo run. When I started making this video, it was on about 50 views, and now that I'm finishing it, it's on like 260. I know that's not like Madrybread or Flygon HG's view count, but I'm honestly so glad that many people enjoyed the video. It really does inspire me to keep going. But anyway, if you enjoyed, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed if you haven't already. It really helps my channel reach out to more people. And I've got nothing else to say, so I'll see you in the next video.